Hello, I'm Catherine Sines, the president of the Rotary Club of Hudson. Rotary is a professional organization of a group of men and women who support Rotary International. We also join together by a common interest of service to our Hudson community, and we have a sincere desire to give back. We meet weekly on Wednesdays at Laurel Lake Retirement Community, 200 Laurel Lake Drive, in their dining room. We meet from 7:30 to 8:30 and would like to invite you to join us. For more information about Rotary, go to www.rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the following excerpts from one of our recent meetings and consider joining us on Wednesday morning.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. I'm Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. The invocation this morning is by Kelly Brennan.
Good morning. Good morning, Kelly.
Are you hearing voices?
I am. We all bow our heads. God grant you the light of Christmas, which is faith, the warmth of Christmas, which is purity, the righteousness of Christmas, which is justice, the belief in Christmas, which is the truth, the all of Christmas, which is Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kelly. Anybody know how to get that music turned off? What's that?
The guys will check it.
Okay.
Den rest.
Oh, Den will kill it.
He got it.
No, he didn't. Lead us in the pledge and the four-way test this morning, Jay Yard.
Thank you, Ron. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Jay. And to lead us in song this morning, Chris Barker.
Okay, I had my page. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Today we're going to sing Joy to the World. And Feinmeister has told me we need to sing really loud today.
I can't read the music.
You can't read it. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. Joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods, while hills and plains, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. Great job, ladies.
Good work, Chris. And before I turn the microphone over to Catherine this morning, I would like to give some special thanks to people that helped us with our problem that we had last week of where to store things. And I'd like to thank our President Catherine, who brought her muscles, her granddaughter Rachel, along to help us do some heavy lifting. We ended up with, I took the gala stuff to my garage because we'll need it before we get access to the basement again. The remainder of it we were able to store on some heavy-duty shelves that we have down there. Thanks to Gail and working with Howard Hanna, they agreed to allow us to store in that one area, which we then covered up with tarps, so it's pretty well protected. Tom Page, who was there to help and take some of the pictures and things home to his house. And Ed Sogan stopped in to sort of help with his one arm. I guess he was a help. And Max for offering his basement, but in the end we didn't need to use it. So anyway, thanks Max for offering. So I'd like to thank everybody that really pitched in, and we got that all taken care of. And we also took a few items to Goodwill, so we cleaned up the basement a little bit too. So thanks to everybody, and now our president, Catherine.
Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning. And if you haven't got a cookie yet, be on your way out, make sure you pick up one of Cheryl's cookies. They're delicious. If you've never had them, they kind of melt in your mouth, so make sure you do that. Next, we have Chris Barker, our secretary, who's going to introduce our guest.
And thank you, President Catherine Sines, for those delicious cookies. Okay, if everyone would please join me in welcoming some of our guests today, and if they could please stand so we can give them a warm Rotary welcome. We first have Bill Benoit, a guest of Evan McCauley. Thank you for joining us today. And then we have our Hudson Service Learning Group with us today. You may already know Dominic Weaver. He's been helping us on AV for the month of December. And then we also have Cameron Ferris joining us today. And thank you. And then we have co-workers Lonnie Banner and Jamie Cosman. Thank you very much.
We only have a few announcements this morning, but they're great ones. First, Gail, would you like to come up and introduce our next guest?
Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning. It is my pleasure to introduce the leaders of the service learning from Hudson High School. But first, I would like to ask, this is the last day of the Random Act of Kindness project that we have been involved in. Would everyone who has gone to the high school and listened to the presentations please stand? Or are going today? Thank you all. I'm sure you enjoyed it as much as I have, and it's indicative of the wonderful relationship we have with the service learning class up at the high school. So having said that, Lonnie and Jamie, would you like to bring your students up here? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you ever so much for all of your help, feedback, guidance, critiques of our Random Acts of Kindness research project. Amy and I and our class have been working on this since the middle of October. And so we just very much appreciate your kind words, your positive feedback, so all of us can become better human beings, presenters, teachers, students, etc. And we couldn't do it without you, so thank you so much. Also, on behalf of Marty Bach and Brittany Amier, thank you for those of you who also came in and assisted with our it was state, city, and school bill briefs about policies, about how we can improve our community. So thank you so much. We have two fantastic students here today, Dominic and Cameron, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about their site experiences, college plans, and all that good stuff. So whoever would like to go first?
It's me. Hi, as I said, I'm Dominic Weaver. I'm 17, go to Hudson Service Learning. My previous site was at Kent UDS, which is Kent United Disability Service in Kent, Ohio, and it is for adults with special needs or disabilities. And over the few months I was there, I had the chance to make a great connection with all the consumers who were at the site. They work there part-time, packaging items for prisons or stores, and then part of the time it's a social interaction where they have music therapy or exercise classes, and some service learning students come and we interact with them. And my favorite memory would have to be there's a man there named Jimmy who is nonverbal. He has cerebral palsy, and for a few weeks, I would just like shake his hand and say hi, and then I realized that he had a machine that he could type on, and it just didn't have batteries in it. And we found out that it didn't have batteries, so we put him in, and he just started typing up a storm and typing like crazy. And it was just great to see that like he wanted to talk to us, and we had this cool connection talking about Hudson baseball and Nordonia baseball, and it was just really great to get to know him and a few of the other people there. The plans for college, I think I'll be attending Kent State, not sure yet, Kent State or Ohio University. Right now I'm thinking about social work, also political science, and maybe like minoring in photography. So that's me.
Hi, I'm Cameron Ferris. I also go to Hudson High School and I'm in service learning. I'm 18 and my site this year was the Hudson Middle School, and I worked with special needs kids. And you know, they really became my best friends over the past couple of months. I actually have gone to see them outside of my site now, and now that I'm not with them, I still go and I'll babysit them, and a lot of them are involved in after-school activities, so I'll go and see them a lot. They really have just taught me a lot about the potential that every single human being has in their lives. I went into it thinking like, oh, they're not gonna really know what to do. Like, I don't really know much about special needs kids. I don't really know what they do. What am I gonna teach them? But they really just taught me like how intelligent every single person in this world is. Even if you don't really think that they might be, every single person has such great potential and intelligence in their lives, and they're just really amazing people, and everybody should go out and work with some kind of special needs person in their lives. And for college, I plan on either attending Miami University or Albion College in Michigan, and I'll be majoring, a double major in political science and business management with a minor in Spanish, and I hope to eventually one day own my own business and hopefully be in government.
And I just wanted to reiterate what Lonnie said. Thank you so much for everybody who's come in. The feedback that you give is outstanding. I think it's a great mix of kind of that business world perspective that you have. You're always kind to them, but you're also very upfront and honest, and it's great for them, a great feedback for them. So I do appreciate that as well.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Wishing you a happy holiday season, and thank you so much.
And if you get a chance, make sure you hug Jamie. I heard there's a little bit of a Grinch in him. You know, we're trying to get his heart a little bigger, you know. They were telling me that earlier, jokingly. Next is Fine Master. You need help? No, I got it. You got enough hands? Here, let me move that in here. What?
Thank you. Okay, Catherine, did you mention the card?
No, I didn't.
Okay, the card that's going around is for Sharon Lowe Blackford, who is a longtime Rotarian, and in 2001, when we took over the Santa on the Green, Sharon was instrumental in having Mrs. Claus accompany Santa. And unfortunately, she is having some health problems. She will be having a valve replacement surgery, I believe, in Cleveland over the holidays. So if you could sign that card and keep her in your thoughts and prayers this holiday season. Oh, yeah, and Dick Pearsall in regards to his health, and great member and leader of our songs in the beginning. Remember, the tone doesn't make any difference. It's the volume of your singing that really counts, especially with this particular group. Some of you have, again, noticed my sling. A couple things. How many of you are retired? Okay, several. Okay. When you're on a fixed income, you try to find out different sources of revenue to take in. So I've got a contract with the Crystal Clinic, and I really don't have anything wrong with me, but I wear this around with a nice thing, and they give me $100 a week. So anybody wants to get in on that action, let me know. Let's see here. Oh, the letters that are being passed around, I made copies of those. Those were some that the kids brought in for Santa on the Green. So as you look at those, there were a ton of them, but I just picked out a few so you could take a look at some of the gift requests that were going on for Santa on the Green. Let's see. Oh, random acts of kindness. Lonnie, you brought that up. And Bob Hill's wife, Marty, was a longtime school board member. And one of her things was random acts of kindness. And years and years and years ago, she started that for the school district and for the community. So Bob is doing well, and Marty, they're still living in the Commons there, across from the Acme Plaza. And if you get a chance to send them a card or stop and see them, I'm sure they would appreciate it. A great couple and great representatives of what Hudson is in regards to the community involvement. We have Fine Day today for the Salvation Army. I wanted to thank everybody that helped with the Santa on the Green. And again, with Salvation Army, we normally helped with the kettle, but this year that didn't happen. So please open your wallets to that. I know a lot of you, as you go.
We did in a
Oh, you did?
scale back. Yeah.
Scale back. Tom was there for 10 hours by himself. Great job, Tom. Way to make the rest of us look bad.
About 6 or 7.
Thanks to everybody that helped with Santa on the Green. We had 120 families that came, and that equates to over 225 kids over a 6-hour period of time. And like I mentioned, this has been going on for a long time. I remember taking my kids. The nice thing now is with the number system, the line isn't as long. It used to be, almost down to the clock tower in the days that we went, but it's worked out well. And the neat thing, again, is the requests that the kids make. One little boy, the only thing he asked for was a jar of dill pickles. So that was probably the most unusual request we had. But everybody that volunteered to help, if you could just stand up so we could give you a round of applause. Please stay standing. A couple of things I wanted to point out is that Liz Wallach, Donna Kastner, and Chris Barker just did a great job in regards to keeping the line moving. Chris introduced each kid as they came up, so Santa and Mrs. Claus knew who was approaching. They worked nonstop during their shift. All the guys that are standing, just a brief summary of what you did. According to what I figured, you drank 5.5 gallons of hot chocolate, you ate 92 candy canes, and you shot the breeze for the entire time. So those guys that are standing, please pay $1. Speaking of hot chocolate, if you do stop in Hudson's restaurant over the holidays, please thank them. This is, several years in a row that they've donated, and they give us about 10 gallons of hot chocolate to pass out to the kids during that particular event, so we really appreciate that. Okay, no pins, no badges. So if we have our fine people there, we've got Sue Carter on this side, Chris Barker over here. No pins, no badges. If you could raise your hand with $1, that'd be greatly appreciated. Oh, speaking of Santa and Mrs. Claus, while they're collecting, two of our members were pointed out by Santa for a major infraction, and as Santa put it, they were making googly eyes at Mrs. Claus.
What?
Yes. Sit down. I don't know what the problem was, but it was Ben Rexroad and Tom Tobin. Now, I wanted to point out a couple, another thing is that Santa brought along some gifts. So, Chris, if you could give Tom his, and Sue, do you have that little present there for Ben? Santa pointed out this is the only thing that you two guys are getting for Christmas.
Here we go.
I got it. Ben's over here. Ben's over here. Ben's right here. Oh, not again. Not again. This isn't even anthracite.
That pay $1 for that googly eye stuff over there. Oh, and the other thing that happened was there was one little boy, well, no, not a little boy, but one boy that showed up during the event, and he came and he was in tears the entire time. And I finally went over and asked him, you know, what was his name and what was the problem, and here it was Robbie Tobin, and he thought he recognized Mrs. Claus. So it was very, very upsetting to him. So again, hopefully he's over that and he'll be in the holiday spirit. Yes.
Can we contribute to the psychological therapy?
Therapy, that's right. Poor little Robbie. Okay. Hub News, we got a great picture once again, Jay Yard, of our new members. In the, let's see, December 13th edition, we've got Sue Carter, the new member, Ralph Day. Where's Ralph? Maple Heights Mustang, great man. And Richard Nebbiolo, Nebbiolo. That's good. I'm like Zabatowski, yeah, okay. But those are our 3 new members. Great picture, great article. Jay, geez Louise, that's like a whole page. Okay, he must be paying off the Hub to get those articles in there. We've got also, as usual, Mr. Hudson Hub, Rich Warfield, with a double ad again. He's got his picture underneath the NFL picks. But what happened?
Wait, who's in the lead?
It was tied.
Well, it isn't anymore.
Well, it was tied in the edition I saw. Are you ahead now?
Like the Cavs, you're going to have a setback once in a while.
Okay, he's back in action. He was tied with Brian Bishop, and he spent more time this week on the pool. So pay a buck there, big guy. Oh, and the best one, woo, look at this one, front page. Selected the head city council, wow. Our very own William Wooldridge. Wow. No pin, no badge, no mention of being a Rotarian. Wow. Is that $1? A 20. I like that. All right. Fantastic. Okay. All right, we're going to the bad girls table over here today. Again, I was leaning over and heard this. One of them, and I'm not going to mention any names because of legal implications here, but one of them had bought a holiday lotto ticket. And at breakfast, she mentioned to her husband, "What would you do if I won the lottery?" He said, matter of factly, "I'd take half the money and leave you." "Great," she said. "Here's $6. I won 12. Stay in touch." Oh my goodness. That was unbelievable. Okay, at the bad boys table over here, Richard, I don't know why you're sitting over there with those guys. That's a bad crew, especially with Andy. Scientists, or one of them said, scientists are saying this winter solstice will be the longest night in the history of the earth. But they clearly have never spent a holiday with my wife's family. That's horrible. Everybody at the table pay $1 over there. I don't know who said it. Okay, we've got one of our little holiday contests again. We'll divide it up. Sue, you've got this half of the room. David, your crew's over here with Chris Parker. Yeah, we can pass them out anytime. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got candy canes for everybody, too. All right. Question number 1 goes to this side. Again, you will have 5 seconds to answer this question. You get it correctly, they pay. You miss it, you pay. What do you call... Oh, my. Oh, that's right. I forgot, too. David Basil was the last one in the door, so he owes $1.
You hurt our ears.
It wasn't me. It was our guru over there.
Okay.
All right. What do you call a kid who doesn't believe in Santa Claus? 5 seconds. Bam. Evan. A rebel without a clause. Oh, everybody on this side pay $1. That was easy. Okay. Question over here. Jim, I know you got this one. What did Adam say to his wife on the night before Christmas?
Good Eve.
Oh, shush. No. There's a fine over here for you for shouting it out. They didn't get the answer. You guys owe $1. It's Christmas Eve. You're not supposed to give them the answer. My goodness sakes. That's the first one you got, though, so that's good. All right. Back over here. What does Santa bring to naughty girls and boys on Christmas Eve? Bam. A pack of batteries with a note saying, toys not included. Yeah. All right. Okay, over here. What do you call a singing elf with sideburns? Elvis. All right, you guys pay another $1 over here. They got it. That's a first one for this particular group. I just saw in the news this morning there will be no nativity scenes in Washington, D.C. This holiday season. They couldn't find 3 wise men. Another little question, and no fines involved in this one, but what's an Ig? What's an Ig? I-G. It's an Eskimo's home without a loo. For you people that are international travelers, a few people got that. Okay, all right, moving along. I need a minister's name. If somebody could throw a name out for me, one of our local ministers. Joe? Okay, excellent, excellent. Last Christmas, Father Joe announced there would be a short meeting of the board after the service. Kind of unusual, but so is Joe. After the service, the group gathered in the back of the church for their brief meeting. However, there was a stranger in their midst. He was a visitor who had never attended the church before. "My friend," asked Father Joe, "did you not understand this is a meeting of the board?" "Oh, yes," came the reply. "After that sermon, I'm about as bored as you can get." All right, we've got birthdays. Oh, there it is. Hiding. We've got a bunch of birthdays, but I don't know if these people are here, but we're going to say it anyway. All right, Allison Feaster's birthday is on the 9th. Jim Hackney's is on the 13th. Dan, yours is on the 14th?
Yep. Happy birthday.
Ron Strobel, 21st.
Yep.
George Smuts, 26th. Dick Pearsall, 28th. And Jay? 29th. Just before the new year. A nice round of happy birthday. Again, volume is very important. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. As a tradition, again, $1 for every year you've been a Rotarian. Jim, 7. Ahern, 7 years? Just kidding, just pay $1. Dave Basil, 8 years. Happy news. This is the Christmas season. Well, you got to pay some money if you're going to say Christmas. All right. Any other Christmas happy news? Right there.
So my youngest daughter got a job. Yeah. She's up to her eyeballs in work. She works for, Ed, you'll love this. Wait for it. She works for the eye bank.
Oh, my.
Up to her eyeballs in work.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought you would. Okay. And my older daughter passed her physical and exam, so now she's also a member of the SWAT team.
Wow.
So anyone needs a door busted down, we're all over it. She got her original training in awnings, and that led right to the SWAT team.
It's a rough job.
Anybody else?
That's great.
Jay Yard.
I'm happy to say that my granddaughter...
Wait for the mic.
Here you go, Jay.
I'm very happy to say that my granddaughter survived her first semester at South Carolina University with straight A's, and she's in fashion design and merchandising. She's now adopted a new handle, Hannah Too Funky. So wow. Stay tuned.
Anybody else? Gail's got one.
Well, no, I just wanted to tell you that my granddaughter just completed last Saturday her 7th in a row Pancakes with Santa, which is the fundraiser for Muscular Dystrophy Association. And she is, as I think most of you know, has been in a wheelchair. She's never walked. She's very intelligent, very beautiful, but her body is basically, the chair is her body. So she does this thing all on her own, and she raised over $3,000 with it for MDA. So I'm very proud of her.
Anyone else? Okay, our final quote. This is by Andy Morris's favorite author, Dr. Seuss, and this is The Grinch. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. God bless. Have a Merry Christmas.
Jamie, we can get a shirt with that for you. You want? And next we have Joe Avila is going to introduce our speaker.
Okay, good morning. Our speaker today is the Reverend Dr. Joseph Boycell. Father Joe is the rector of the Holy Trinity Anglican Church here in Hudson, and he has been with that parish since 2009. This past summer, he had the opportunity to go on sabbatical in Europe and the Holy Land, visiting a number of places of worship, and today he's going to provide some insights on his travels. Father Joe has a Master of Divinity degree and a Doctor of Ministry degree from Asbury Theological Seminary in Wilmore, Kentucky. He has been a member of the Hudson Rotary for almost 7 years. He ably fills in as our alternate Feinmeister, and so ably fills in as our most distinguished MC at our spring gala. Father Joe and his wife, Abby, have 4 sons and live in Hudson. Please extend a warm holiday Rotary welcome to Father Joe. Where is he? There.
Good morning, everyone. And so, yeah, this past year I got a sabbatical. Maybe a little bit about why does a clergy person get a sabbatical? Maybe that'd be a good place to start. A sabbatical for me was 2 months off with pay, and an opportunity to not be involved in any sort of parish ministry or anything like that. And some of my family members who don't frequent church nearly as often as they should say to me stuff like, "Hey, you only work 1 day a week anyway, right? And now you have 2 months off? How does this work? How do I get that job?" Yeah. Well, let me just tell you, all you have to do in order to get this job is to go to university for 10 years and then be on call 365 days a year, every year without fail. So if you're wanting to do that and then, learn some foreign languages and translate ancient text and do things like that, there's opportunity. See me afterward. We'll get you set up. But the real reason is that a lot of clergy people simply burn out. 1,500 clergy people every month leave ordained ministry. This is rabbis, priests, Protestant ministers across the board, because if you do it right, you get involved in the lives of people, and everybody has a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff, and y'all have a lot of stuff, and then when we bring it all together, if somebody is in my parish and they have like a life-threatening disease, I'm there with them, throughout that. I'm part of the process and bury them, and they're my friends. They're people that I love. They're they're close to me. They're family, and we kind of go through this. We're part of people's lives, and so it is really demanding. The truth is that you never stop working if you're a clergy person. And I guess I'm telling you that not to make you feel sorry for me, but to make you kind of realize what your own clergy people in your own churches and synagogues, they sort of go through. And this is the reason why my church offered me a sabbatical after 7 years of ministry at Holy Trinity, and 20 years of ministry in general. What I did with the time off was I wanted to go to Israel. In the ancient world, people would make pilgrimages. This was a regular thing, to make a pilgrimage to Israel. I wanted to do that But there are also other pilgrimages. So the people in Ireland, for instance, made a pilgrimage to, and they still do this on a regular basis, to holy sites in Ireland. The one that I went to is called Crogpatrick, a mountain where St. Patrick in 411 AD climbed and fasted for 40 days on top of this mountain. So I wanted to go there. Canterbury Cathedral in the southern part of England, in Canterbury, was a place where Thomas Becket in the 15th century was assassinated. The Archbishop of Canterbury, coming out of the Lady Chapel in the cathedral, was murdered. And so after that, people began to make pilgrimages to Canterbury Cathedral. I'm an Anglican. Canterbury Cathedral is the mothership of Anglicans. So yeah, I wanted to go there. And so on. I went to Spain because many people make a pilgrimage along this road called the Camino de Santiago. If you get a chance, even on Netflix, there's a movie called The Way, and it's about this pilgrimage path. So I went to hike on that and make my way to the cathedral in Santiago de Compostela, where the bones of St. James are still there. So it's a pretty amazing place, and there are thousands and thousands of pilgrims who are there, and I wanted to go there. I went to Israel, to Jerusalem. This was the apex of the pilgrimage. This was the destination, and it was fantastic. All of these things happened as part of a pilgrimage that's not a tour. So I really went at it with a different mindset. I did take some pictures I'm going to show you, but most of the time I didn't. I mean, I didn't take pictures when there were people worshiping in a cathedral because I was there as a worshiper, not as a tourist. I went to play. I took pictures mostly for my wife so she could validate that I was in fact in all the places I told her I was. And you know, I had some festive times, but mostly it was to go as a spiritual renewal time, and so I tried to take advantage of that. I started at Wheaton College in Chicago, Illinois, though, because I had to do some work with my church. But I thought, well, Wheaton is a great place because this was Billy Graham's school. This is where he and Ruth met, and they got married. And at Wheaton they have the Billy Graham Center. You perhaps recognize Dr. Nettie, who is a professor at Kent State and has spoken here before, a member of my parish. And here I am next to my bishop, working hard on my way. I think he's asleep. I'm not sure, but maybe he is. Are those eyes open or closed? Because so after Chicago, I should stop and say this is Billy Graham's pulpit, and so I got to stand in that pulpit, and you can touch it and you know, put your hands right there where he held on. And for me, that was a really great thing. And one of the things I want to do is be a good preacher and to be clear like Billy Graham was. And so I thought that was a fantastic way to start this pilgrimage. I then made it to Ireland. I stayed at a convent in Ireland. It was called Mount St. Anne's, and I was there. This is Christ Church down here on the bottom left, Christ Church Cathedral. St. Patrick's Cathedral is right down the road. I didn't realize this, but when Henry VIII sort of realigned the churches in England and the English nations, he so gently lifted the burden from the Roman Catholics of administering these cathedrals. St. Patrick's is an Anglican church, as is Christ Church, which I thought was really wonderful. I felt bad for the Catholics because they're beautiful churches, but yeah, we took care of them. We're managing them quite well. And so, yeah, I got to spend some time in Dublin and hang out at the churches there. And then I made it to Crogpatrick. This is a mountain in the western part, so I took a couple trains to get there. Went to this western part. I should mention, that I was by myself this whole trip. I had a backpack, no check bags, nothing. I had 3 pair of trousers and a few shirts, and that's about it. I had everything in 30 pounds in a pack on my back that could be checked in, or not checked in, just overhead storage. So anyway, I get to Crogpatrick, and you can see this path. The mountain didn't look like this the day that I was there. It was about 38 degrees on the 3rd of July. And rain was coming sideways at about 50 miles an hour, and I climbed this mountain that day. This is some sights. These are actual pictures I did take. There's a statue of St. Patrick. There's what the path looked like. You could see about 10 feet ahead of you. And I don't know what I'm advancing.
Came to come to rescue.
Yeah. So yeah, climbing this mountain, the footing underneath you is so loose and gravelly that every step is like taking 3. You just continually, and a lot of people just turn around and go back. Some people at the end of July climb this mountain barefoot as a pilgrimage. They want to suffer a little bit. Those aren't Anglicans. We don't do it that way. But yeah, so I climbed with shoes. I mean, on my feet. So can we advance that 1 and see if that plays?
Down, ascending Krog Patrick. I think Krog means crazy insane.
Yeah, so there it is. Made it to the top of Krog Patrick. On my way down, I took this picture that it clears out, of course, on the way out, right? You're almost done. It clears out, and you can see, and they told me if you're up there on a clear day, you can just see for miles across the Irish countryside. I needed a little therapy when I got to the bottom, so I made sure that I did what all good Irish people would do, and that is to have a Guinness and a Jameson and some seafood chowder. From there to southern England, kind of looks like, Friar Tuck might live there, you know? It kind of does. I stayed at a Franciscan priory, and these buildings right here behind me were built in the 12th century. So, it was really great to stay in this really old monastery, hang out, pray with the monks, do that sort of thing. Met some young people who were there trying to learn English, and we all went out for pints and billiards, and I'll be happy to tell you that I beat them all. So my pool playing skills were pretty good over there. I didn't hustle them out of any money. I bought the rounds. They were too young. Yeah. To Canterbury Cathedral, where went in. The cathedral was under construction. Seemed like every cathedral was under construction when I was over there. This is the very spot right here where Thomas Becket was murdered, as I told you. This was the chapel that is, from this side, is right behind here. And this is where St. Anselm was buried. St. Anselm was a famous philosopher, Archbishop of Canterbury. And so, yeah, I got to go to those places and be there. This is outside the cathedral. This is the main gate entrance. There's a big market outside. The old buttermilk. This pub has been there for several hundred years. I'm happy to tell you that the Guinness is still fresh, even then. I'm trying to advance, but not happening. There we go. From there to Spain, and Spain was hiking on the Camino de Santiago. I sent this picture to my son and said, "Is that the dope clinic?" And he says, "No, Dad, it's Clinica Dope." Not the same thing. So yeah, it wasn't the dope clinic. Vino and tapas. Among the many things that are really great about Spain, vino and tapas is right up there at the top. Like €1, like $1 for a glass of really good wine and free food. I don't know why I don't live in Spain, because that sounds like a really great thing. This is hiking on the Camino, so basically follow this little symbol for days upon days upon days of hiking and walking. Just keep following the path through. You can see my feet bloodied from so much hiking. But eventually, this is a little stop along the way, Betonzas in Spain, where they had a medieval festival going on. The lepers were running wild in the streets. It was kind of crazy. Great cathedral there, so I stopped and spent some time there. And then here's the destination in Spain, the Cathedral St. James. These are his bones. This is a big statue of him. You can walk up behind it, and I gave him a big hug, kissed him on the back of the neck, and went through with all the other pilgrims. This is Milan. So from Spain, flew to Milan, had a day to stay there, went to the cathedral there, and it's in the city center. You saw what I look like. I'm kind of bummy. Milan is the fashion capital of the world. I mean, everybody looks like y'all, only even better. They're like you're on a runway or something. And it was really amazing just to sit there and watch these people walk up and down the streets with, this is Versace and Armani and all of this. But this was the highlight. The cathedral in Milan is unbelievable. It's breathtaking. If you ever get a chance to go there, you should. It's just unbelievable. So a couple pictures from that. And then here's the goal, to Jerusalem. So I get to Jerusalem. This is taken from the Mount of Olives. Those of you who might know some of the story, Jesus at one point, this is would be Palm Sunday. So Palm Sunday, Jesus is on this is where he would have been. This is the main gate. It was called, you'll see it in the book of Acts, called the gate called Beautiful, the Beautiful Gate. This is exactly where he would have gone through. Where this big mosque is now, the Dome of the Rock, would not have been there. It would have been a massive Jewish temple, square, gold at the top. And Jesus has this very image when he looks down and he says, "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how I would have gathered you as a mother hen gathers her chicks under her wings." This is the image that he sees as he's about to enter into Jerusalem. This area all right here is called the Temple Mount. That's kind of cordoned off. Only Muslims can go up there, but you can get around the sides of it. While I was there, I arrived on a Thursday, checked into, I stayed at a guest house in an Anglican church, Christ Church, inside that walled city. That's the walled old city, which is really great. I checked in on Thursday, and I got my guest house, my room, and on Friday morning, I'm trying to decide, do I want to go to Bethlehem, or do I want to go inside the walled city to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre? This is the church built over the place where Jesus was crucified. So I decided, I don't know. And I got up in the morning, I'm going to Bethlehem. But I get to the gates, and there are police and military everywhere, and they won't let me out. And I said, why? And they said, well, there's been an incident. I'm like, well, I just want to go down and catch a bus. I'm pretty safe. No, nobody's coming or going. And so I check around, and it turns out that this about half an hour before I was there, about 10 blocks away from me, there were 3 Muslim Palestinian terrorists that came in with homemade machine guns and began opening fire on police officers, killing 2 of them, and then running into a mosque where they were chased by Israeli police and, as the newspaper put, and eliminated. So 5 people were killed just a few blocks away from me. It was a pretty tense moment. They closed the Temple Mount, the Israeli police did, the first time since 1967. So this is all kind of going on while I'm there. And the police tell me, go back to your room, stay there, you don't want to be out in the streets. But I thought, come on. I'm in Jerusalem for 5 days and 2 days of travel on both ends. I am not hanging out in a room cloistered away. So I took off. When I arrived, this is what the city street looked like on Thursday. You see these people, you can't get through there. As I started walking to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, this is the same street. Yeah. As I'm walking there, I'm thinking to myself, maybe this isn't your brightest moment, I've got a collar on, I look like a priest, I'm a pretty good target, and there's nobody else on the streets. But I felt genuinely safe, and so, I was, as priests would do, praying to myself, Lord, I feel really safe. Is this because you're with me, or because I'm not very smart? And a thought came to me, those aren't mutually exclusive, Both be with you and. When you get to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, normally there's like a 2-hour wait to get around here, not up these steps, this is closed off, but right over here would be the main entrance. There's usually a 2-hour, hour-and-a-half wait just to get inside the building. You can see what it looked like when I arrived, there's nobody there. And I thought, I got the place to myself, yeah. And so I go in and spent hours inside this grand church, built over the place where Jesus was crucified, and over the place where some believe that he was buried as well. I should say that in a lot of these places, I don't really know that he was actually buried there. Pretty sure on the crucifixion part, but burial, birthplace, not really sure if the exact spot. But it's pretty close, It's not a very big city. They're pretty small places. These are all inside Holy Sepulchre. This is supposedly the stone where he was laid after he was crucified and wrapped for burial. This is the Garden of Gethsemane right across the way from Jerusalem. This is the Armenian Cathedral. It's sort of like what St. Peter's would be to Roman Catholics, what Canterbury would be to Anglicans. This is the Cathedral of St. James in Jerusalem. This is the Western Wall. Did not convert, but you do have to wear a head covering while you're there. And so, I stopped there to pray and to insert prayers into the wall together with the Jewish pilgrims who were there. This is the Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus, and the Church of the Holy Nativity. Right there, underneath there is the place where it's believed that Jesus was born. You have to crawl underneath the altar to see that spot, and this is what it looks like going in. This is what it looks like coming out. You know, there's like a crowd of people. As I come out, there's a priest who sees me and says, "Oh, Father Joe," or he says, "Father, I'm sorry, you can go in this way. You don't have to go through the line." I'm like, well, now you tell me. I already went through the line, you know. But yeah, this is Bethlehem as well. Would like to talk about that, but don't really have time. This is the site of King David's palace. This is, if any of you remember the story of King David, who's walking around on his palace, and he looks down and he sees Bathsheba bathing below and invites her up, and that becomes a whole big problem for him, right? Adultery, murder, all kinds of things that go on there. So I told my wife, I looked down to see if there were any women bathing, just for historical perspective. But as fortune would have it, I didn't see any. I stopped in Nice for a couple of days to convalesce, which was pretty awesome. And then made it back through, actually I made it through Scotland, the northern part of England, then back home to Cleveland. That's sort of my journey. There's too much to really tell you. I kind of took you through it, I know, at a breakneck speed, but do you have any questions about this? I did, yeah. I was all by myself. I only did one tour, and that was to Bethlehem, because you have to, it's in the Palestinian territory, so getting in and out is logistically kind of difficult, yeah. So I was 14 planes, I should have said that, 14 airplanes, I don't know how many trains, buses, taxi cabs, yeah.
Father Joe.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
This is probably a sin to ask you this question, but on the other hand, how would you grant our making Jerusalem the capital of Israel?
You're right, it is a sin, and I don't forgive you. No, I'm joking. You know, I don't really know. I don't know that modern day Israel is the same thing as ancient Israel in terms of government structure, and so how governments organize themselves and work themselves out. I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about that or worrying about it. I don't know. If Israel wants to make Jerusalem their capital, they seem to control the territory. I don't know why they can't. I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough question. Yeah.
Joe, great job, Joe.
Hey, thank you.
Tell me, what is the religious significance of that mosque in Jerusalem to Islam? Why is that specific location important to them?
Yeah, this is a real tension area, because the site where the Jewish temple was built, it was destroyed by the Romans in 70 A.D. Okay, they flattened it, they destroyed it as a sort of final, you know, crushing blow to Jerusalem, because they tried to revolt against Roman rule. That spot, which is a sacred spot to Jews, because this is the place where the presence of God dwelt, right? This is not like with churches where you can go to any church. This is a singular spot. But it's also supposedly a spot from which Muhammad, a few hundred years later, ascends into heaven. So for both Jews and Muslims, this is like, you know, a super sacred spot. The Muslims have it now, but all those people that were standing at the Western Wall, the Jewish ones are almost universally praying, God, destroy that mosque on top of this Temple Mount. Let's have the temple back. Yeah. So that's why it's so tense. Yeah. David.
It sounds like an incredible journey, Joe.
It really was.
Is there any part of the journey that stands out the most to you that was really especially meaningful?
Yeah, I think the apex of getting to Jerusalem was, for me, a very significant thing to be in that place. A lot of people ask me, did you see this, or this? No, I didn't. I missed a lot. You know, I was there for 4 or 5 days, and I spent copious amounts of time in Church of the Holy Sepulchre, for instance. I was there several times and spent hours on end there. My goal wasn't to see a lot of places. It was to be present in that place. And because of that, it really changed the whole trip for me. But Jerusalem was amazing. And yeah, I would say by far and away the highlight of the trip. Yeah.
You mentioned a couple of times you saw some security people that wouldn't let you into some places. How significant was the security people, or how obvious were security people every place you went. Was there a feeling that people were watching other people the places you've been or went to?
Right. So in the UK and in Ireland, security is very discreet. You know, police don't carry weapons. Nobody carries weapons. There's no guns, right? So very discreet there. But places like Italy and France and especially in Israel, security is so very obvious. There are 18-year-old. I have these great pictures of these young kids who are going through, and they have M16s on them, and they're dressed in civilian clothes because they're off-duty Israeli soldiers, and they're taking some university students on tour or something like that, and they're carrying them. So here they are, a young girl. She's got to be 19. She's got flip-flops on and shorts and a t-shirt, and she's got an M16 swung over her shoulder. And a young man who's with her, basically dressed in the same sort of way, also carrying a military-grade weapon. And they were closer than you are to me right now. So to be in that sort of environment, and then military and police in Israel are just everywhere. Yeah.
How about the rest of the country, the other places?
Yeah, like in Italy, you'd see police carrying military-style weapons, but you wouldn't see a lot of them. In France, same thing, police with military-style weapons, but not a lot of them. Basically, not a lot of security anywhere except for in Israel, where it was abundant. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Father Joe. A special thanks to Greeter Gail. I think you did by yourself, didn't you? Did you have someone help? Oh, and Ron. Oh, should have known. Gail and Ron. Audio-visual crew, Den Rich, Tom Page, Tom Tobin, James Field, and Ron Barnhouse. Dominic from Hudson Service Learning, thank you for helping us out. And we have a Rotobuck drawing. It's $14 for today and $145 for the jackpot. I had our guest Bill draw the number, but before I call the number, I want to remind everybody about the popcorn and roses at the door. Don't forget to stop and pick up your orders. And the number, last four digits are 4992. 4992. Woo, Bob. Well, he's coming up. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. Don't forget your cookies if you didn't get one. Here's your money.
Thank you.
And remember, Christmas is not so much about opening presents. It's about opening your heart. Have a wonderful holiday.